Hi, and welcome to the Impressions Connect seminar series. Today's seminar will be Sportswear Garage, starting a home-based screen printing business. My name's Terry Combs, and you can find me at terrycombs.com. You can also find me at the Two Regular Guys podcast, which is regularguys.com. A little bit about myself. I have run production screen printing shops around the country. I like to say, armed with my degree in journalism from Ohio University, I accidentally became a screen printer, but I've stayed in the industry all these years because unlike other businesses, because in screen printing, you're going to have the same issues with employees and vendors and all the issues that a business runs into. But at the end of the day, you're creating something. And that's what makes screen printing and all types of garment decorating really special. I have run production shops with as many as 75 production floor employees, but I started out as a garage printer. In fact, I had to work my way up to being a garage printer all by myself. I started in my basement and built my business and built my career from there. This seminar is going to be broken down into three parts. Number one, the screen printing process. Number two, what you'll need to buy. And number three, the business of screen printing. So let's talk a little bit about the screen printing process. First of all, you're going to need artwork. And, maybe you're an artist or you can use clip art or you can job out artwork. Today with the internet, it's very, very easy to find artists who will do work for you, who are familiar with the screen printing process. You'll need an art program if you're creating your own art. Most common in the screen printing industry is CorelDRAW. That's primarily for people who are using a PC. If you're using a Mac, the program you'll probably use is Adobe Illustrator. All screen printers either use CorelDRAW or Adobe Illustrator for most of the work they do. You might use Photoshop if you want to do photographic images. Say your niche market might be rock bands, something like that. So Photoshop would be the program you'd use for that type of thing. If you are not familiar with artwork and not familiar with creating artwork, you can get some art training. Now, don't go to the local community college and sign up for a class, because most of what they do will be web design, that sort of thing, that won't impact you. But there are some training classes that can help you. That's all either web-based or disc-based. Some of those are greatdanegraphics.com. Dane does classes in Corel, Photoshop, Adobe Illustrator. CorelTrainer.com is an excellent training course for CorelDRAW. And then digitalartsolutions.com offers also training in CorelDRAW as well. Digital Art Solutions does a lot of free webinars on CorelDRAW as well. The next part of the process is creating a film positive. The film positive is what you're going to use to burn your screen. So if you have a 5-color job, you will have 5 film positives that will be output generally on an Epson desktop printer with a RIP software, raster image processing software. You'll need a RIP software to be able to create graphics that have halftone dots, and you'll certainly want to be able to do halftone dots. Now, the person at Office Max or Staples, wherever you go to buy your printer, they're going to tell you, well, we have RIP software, but that's not the RIP software you need. RIP software for a color printer generally is just for color management. The film positive RIP software you need is, it basically does two things. It gives you a darker image and allows you to create a halftone dot. So you'll need a RIP software that is specific to screen printing. Any of your screen printing supply companies can provide that for you. The next part of the process are screens. There are wood screens, there are static aluminum screens, and there are retentionable screens. Now, wood frames are less common today. They're a little heavy. People used to use them all the time because they were less expensive, but static aluminum, which is just basically an aluminum frame, is most common because they're much less expensive now, about the same price. You can get a screen with mesh in it for $22, $25, and you'll be able to reuse that screen for 6 months to a year. Retentionable frames are screens that can be restretched and continually restretched. That type of frame usually is used if you're doing a lot of high-end photographic reproduction printing. So a static aluminum frame is probably what you're going to get. And you can buy that, as I said, pre-stretched with whatever mesh count emulsion that you need. or not emulsion, but whatever mesh count screen that you need. The next part of the process is your ink. 99% of us are going to use Plastisol ink. Plastisol ink is a PVC based ink. And the reason we like to use it, especially in our garage shops, is you can leave it in the screen. You can walk away. You can take a phone call. You can, you can stop and do invoices, whatever, and that ink will stay wet. It will not harden. It will not dry until it reaches 320 degrees. So it's really ideal. Most garments that you buy, online or in a retail store that have an image on them, that's Plastisol ink. You can use water-based ink, a little more difficult to work with. You can get the same hand or same feel with Plastisol by just using a higher screen mesh to print through. But some people like the idea of using water-based ink. It is not better for the environment because in water-based ink there are chemicals in that ink that you don't find actually in Plastisol. Then, of course, there are specialty inks like puffs and gels and things like that you're able to use as accent to your work. But most of us are going to use Plastisol ink. The platen is the shirt holder where you put the shirt, you load the shirt on, and you bring your screen down and you print. On that platen, that's how you're going to align your artwork. You're going to square the artwork that's on the screen up with the platen so that when you load the shirt straight, then the image will be square in the middle of that product. Adhesives, most of us are going to use a spray adhesive. It's just a low-tack adhesive that's specifically made for fabric. You're going to spray that on the platen. And the reason we do that is when we lift the screen up, if you don't have that shirt adhered down to the platen, then the screen's going to try to pull the shirt back up with it. And then loading the shirt, of course, you just want to load with the tail towards the machine, pull it all the way down to the edge of the frame or the frame of the platen, and then pull it back towards you, and that shirt should be perfectly square on that platen, ready to print. So the process of printing. Some people will pull the squeegee towards them. Some people will push the squeegee away. So it really is a matter of personal preference. When I first started printing, which was many years ago, everybody pulled the squeegee. Today, there's probably a slight majority of people who push the squeegee away. It doesn't matter. Just choose one or the other. You don't want to pull the squeegee across the screen and then push it back again. That can cause a smearing on the shirt. But it's perfectly acceptable to use either method of printing. The next step is curing. You're going to need, ideally, a conveyor dryer. And conveyor dryer simply means a dryer that you're going to print the shirt, lay the shirt on the dryer belt. As it goes through the dryer, it will cure the Plastisol ink. Now, you see a lot of things on the internet, and there's unfortunately a lot of misinformation on the internet. You'll see information that says your shirt should be in the dryer for 2 minutes, or your shirt should be in the dryer for 1.5 minutes or 3 minutes. It doesn't matter how long the shirt's in the dryer. The key here is that as it's going down the dryer belt, once the entire ink film, that means the ink on top and all the way where it's touching the fabric of the shirt, once that ink reaches 320 degrees, it's perfectly cured. The question is, you have to do some testing, and we're going to talk about the products you need in the next section to test, but it really is determined by how long your dryer is and humidity, things like that are variables. But generally, a shirt's going to be in the dryer for about a minute or so. And again, we'll talk about how to test that you have a proper cure. In the next section, what's coming up, we're going to be talking about what you'll need to buy.